Okay, it's finally working again. Thank the fucking gods. Anyway, I'm really sorry that I didn't make a video last time because my recording software was not working. So, I was basically trying to fix it until I had to erase it and then, reinstall it. Which, by the way, fucking why? Either way, let's continue on with the episode, shall we, ladies and gents? And also, I'm pretty happy to be back. So, hello guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're talking about what if Deku was in RWBY. So, in the last video we talked about how, well, we mostly gone over to the perspective of Blake and also Star, as they're currently in Menagerie, aka whatever the fuck that city's name is, because I'm not going to be searching it up for obvious reasons, because I'm probably butchered it. But either way, so, basically some stuff happened. Apparently some of the White Fang members, mostly the bad ones, basically came to Menagerie and are basically causing a bit of chaos, mostly trying to kill Blake and trying to assassinate, what is her name? Shiana Khan. As during their time basically there, they would also meet with one of her, more specifically Blake's old friends, aka by the name of, Ilya Amitola. Yeah, that's apparently her name. Yeah, so, apparently she's also a faunus, more specifically a chameleon faunus, as during the fight, she would basically injure, what is her name? Yeah, Star. As after doing so, she would also drop one of her, her scroll, which details her, at least, the plans to basically kill Shiana Khan and basically take over the White Fang. So, after basically, being told of this, they would start getting ready to basically try and save, Shiana Khan. And with the help of let's just say, unexpected faunus, which is also a member of the more gooder side of the White Fang, as in, Shiana Khan's White Fang, which is named, James. Which, yeah, it's basically just an insert of me. Let's just say James is basically like a universal entity in this world, or at least the world that I created. So basically, he basically acts as like, basically, a world changer, I guess you can say. And James is a spider faunus, as he also has a hand cannon as a weapon. And if you're wondering, yeah, I basically sort of based it off like the hand cannon in like, in Totally Accurate Battlegrounds, which, if you don't know, well, it's basically, if you watch Russian Badger, if you watch, Russian Badger, then you probably know what I'm supposed to say. But I kind of forgotten the words or the, or some of the sentences in that. But either way, after that, they would start leaving to go to where, Shiana Khan is, including the rest of the good White Fang. As when Adam arrives with his bad White Fang, they would start, fighting, but thankfully to the help of, thanks to the help of, Blake's, Blake's father and mother, and also, and also, James, and also with, Star, they would defeat, Adam as he would start, leaving, getting away. And after, telling her the information about that, she would decide to hold a meeting, or should I say an event in the, in the town square of Menagerie. Wait for a second. And so, after basically telling everybody about how they're, that they didn't want to, basically cause a lot of freaking tragedies, more specifically, killing humanity itself, but just to, work together and not basically kill each other. Sorry about that. And so, after, telling them that, they would decide to basically join up with, Blake. And because, Shiana Khan is not freaking dead, well, it basically answered to you probably know what happened in the last video, but either way, basically, after that, they would decide to basically stay at, Blake's house, or, back in, like, at the Belladonna residence. As while they were basically talking about some plans to basically go to, I think it was Mistral? Yeah, Mistral, to basically protect them from basically having the same fate as, like, Beacon. Well, she would sort of slip that she sort of likes somebody, and let's just say her dad was not really happy about that, and plans to basically beat him to the ground. Which is probably not gonna happen, especially with Izuku there. As in Izuku, I mean, he is the crush. But after that, we go to another perspective, in this case, Adam. As because he's no longer, or at least no longer a member of the White Fang, or at least sort of, sort of because of their ideals now being different, he now creates a splinter faction, known as the Black Claw. As we also see Ilya basically being, a bit, conflicted after all. After their plan failed, they know that they're probably gonna be, destroyed. And probably even being defeated. And so Ilya is thinking, what the hell am I supposed to do? And so, that's where we sort of like ended off the episode. And so, let us talk about what happens next. And I'm probably going to be making this, a pretty short episode. Probably. Yeah, I was sort of wrong. It was not Mistral. It was actually Haven. Fucking damn it. But either way, let's continue on with the episode. So, as we currently see Izuku, and we're finally back to his perspective, as Izuku would start waking up, as he would say this. God, I feel tired, he would say. As he would start, feeling his head a little bit hurting, as he would say this. I feel much better, he would say. As after saying that, he would start feeling something on his bed. As he would start to sweat a little bit, as he would say this. And again, he would say, as he would start, thinking to himself, as he would slowly, and I mean slowly, start looking at, the thing that's basically right beside him. As after cracking open one of his eyes, he would see, well, Pyra. As that's not the worst part, she's also wearing, let's just say, not so, innocent looking pajamas. As you would start sweating even more, to the point that it's probably gonna make a freaking river. Oh god. As Izuku would say, as Izuku would start thinking to himself, how the fuck did this happen, he would say, as he would slowly try to get off, the bed, as he would say this. Right, be careful, he would say, as he would start using, a bit of like shadow clones to basically help him up. And after doing so, he would basically deactivate one of the shadow clones. As after doing so, he would say this. Did it, he would say. As after doing so, he would start, getting away from the situation. Or at least this area. Sorry about that. But either way, as after doing so, he would start sneaking away. As he would hear, Izuku, she would say. As Izuku would start feeling a little bit worried. As he would say this. Do not look back. Only demons can come from there. I will die from this. As after saying that, he would start, opening the door. As the door, just imagine, that's certain, creak that you would hear while you're, like, late at night, basically, like, doing something. Just imagine that type of sound. Yeah. As it was nerve-wracking. As, after doing so, he would finally close the door, as it would create a pretty large sound, or at least, a pretty loud-ass sound. As after doing so, he would say, please don't dare, please don't be there, he would say. As after looking around, he would hear nobody. As he would say this. Oh, thank God, he would say. As after doing so, he would start, getting ready to get out of that specific area. But before he can, he would hear, morning, kid, he would say. As after hearing that, he would look over and would see Crow. As Crow would say this. Oh. As he would start looking at the door that, Izuku was coming out of from. As he would say this. Heh. Didn't know that you kids were that frisky, he would say. Oh well, he would say. As Izuku would say this. As he would start becoming a little bit nervous as he would say this. What? Whatever. Let's get ready to go to, Haven for now. After all, the principal wants to talk with us, he would say. As Izuku would say this. Wait, what? He would say? As he would say this. Yeah, so be prepared. Also, if the others are awake, tell them to also get ready, he would say. As after saying so, they would start getting ready to leave. Sorry about that. And so, as everybody would start to wake up, including, the rest of, Team, Juniper, which, by the way, if you're wondering, yes, they are still alive. Like I said in the last video, this is an alternative universe where, Pyra at least gets saved. And doesn't freaking die. Thank the gods. I still feel sad that she freaking died. Like, seriously. Like, what the fuck? Come on, please don't let Best Girl die. But either way, continue on, as we currently see the rest of, Team, well, I guess you could say the rest of, Team Juniper and Izuku basically going through, the city of Mistral. Or at least I think that's the name. Let me just check the actual name of the city. Or at least, yeah, Mistral is basically the name of this, of the kingdom, and Haven is basically the name of the academy itself. So yeah, as they're currently, looking around, Haven, as they would be told to basically go to Haven Academy itself. As after arriving at the gates, Izuku would start looking around, as several students were looking at him. Mostly out of, admiration and sort of fear. As one of them would say this. So that's the three-eyed demon, he would say, as one of them would say this. Yeah, apparently he's single-handedly taken down some of the, some of the grims of the, of the attack during the beacon, fight, he would say, as one of them would say this. I wonder what he looks like under his mask, said one of them. As one of the girls would say this. I wonder if he's kind of cute, said one of them. As one of them would say this. Yeah, I wonder if he's, a cutie, said one of them. As Izuku would just start shaking his head as he would say this. Just ignore it, Izuku, he would say. Just ignore it, Izuku, he would say. As after saying so, they would finally arrive at the office of the principal of Haven. As after doing so, they would finally arrive as you would see the principal of the school. As you would see this. Ah, you must be Team Juniper and Izuku Midoriya, the three-eyed demon himself, he would say. As he would say this. Yeah, hello there, he would say. As he would say this. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. How rude. As he would stand up, as he would say this. You may call me Leonard Lionheart. I am quite interested after hearing your little bout in, well, he would say, as he would say this. Yeah, he would say, as he would start shaking his head, as he would say this to himself. This place does kind of look like, Asia, or at least parts of Asia, like Japan, he would say. As he would shake it off, as he would say this. By the way, Theodore, he would say, wait for a second. As after saying this, not Theodore, I meant Leonardo, as Leonardo would say this. Oh yes, what is that, Mr. Three-Eyed Demon, he would say, as he would say this. Well, I'm quite curious. Why are there no students around? I mean, I did see some students in the dorm, dorms basically, talking about me, but still, he would say, as he would say this. Oh, about that, he would say. As he would explain, apparently, during the whole attack, wait for a second, god dang it, what the fuck happened, sorry about that, something happened, what the fuck, oh, shice, but either way, continuing on, as he would say this. Well, he would basically sort of explain that apparently, during the, the attack of Beacon, apparently some Grims basically decided to take, decided to attack the border of Mistral. But thanks to the help of some of the, some of the hunters and huntresses, they would basically be safe, but at a cost. They were currently injured and no longer, able to basically, train the next generation, and so they have to be, brought into a hospital for now. And as for, some of the students, they were told to basically sit this one out. Because they're too inexperienced, quote unquote. As one of them would say this. Specifically, what is his face? Yeah, Crow, as he would say this. Seriously, he would say, as he would say this. Yes, he would say. As, Crow would say this. Why didn't you, take care of one of your relics, he would say. As he would say this. Oh, you mean that thing, he would say. As he would say this. Yeah, apparently they were supposed to have a vault for basically that specifically. And it seems that the vault seems to be, Well, something or other. I don't really feel any of the energy from the relic, he would say, as he would say this. I know about that, and I'm quite worried myself. After all, my, or at least our maiden seems to be gone. Not only this, I don't know anymore, he would say, as he would start, shaking his head a little bit, as something would appear out of nowhere. It seems to be a hologram, as after showing it, everybody would just listen in, including Pyra and Izuku, as, I'm just gonna call him Lionheart, or just Leonardo. I'm just gonna call him Lionheart for now. So, Lionheart would just look at the projection as he would see this. As Leonardo would look at look at the hologram. And, by the way, I meant, I actually meant, Crow basically bring up the hologram. As, Crow would say this. It seems like the Spring Maiden seems to have, gone loose, or disappeared. And it's definitely not, good, he would say. As after saying so, one of them would say this. Really? Then, where's that Spring Maiden exactly, said Izuku, as he would say this. I honestly don't know at this point. Wherever she is, she's definitely not far away, or at least I hope so. If we can't find him, then we can't get the relic, he would say. As Izuku would say this. I see, he would say. As he would start scratching a bit of his, scratching a bit of his chin. As one would say this, specifically, Jean. This is certainly going to be hard, she would say. As one would say this, specifically Nora. And she would say, that's what she said. As Izuku and the others would just look at her, as, Crow would just laugh a little bit, while Izuku would just have a deadpan expression. As, for, a certain, a certain, dark-haired boy over there, aka, Ren, he would just go like, sometimes I wish I was never your friend, he would say. As Izuku would say this. Yeah, I'm starting to think otherwise as well, he would say. As after saying so, we go back to the topic on track. As after doing so, Lionheart would say this. Yes, it seems so. This is certainly going to be annoying to deal with, he would say. As one of them would say this, specifically Izuku. Yeah, agreed, he would say. As he would say this. Now, I think it's better for all of you to get going now. Ta-ta, he would say, as after doing so, they would start leaving. But, Lionheart would say this. Now, as he would start leaving, as he would go into a little, chamber, as we would currently see, Watson, aka Mr. What the fuck is that face? Yeah, when I first saw him, I just thought his face was a bit weird, not gonna lie. But it sort of did grow on me. At least, sort of, at least. As Theodore would basically, not Theodore, I meant, Leonardo. I don't know why I keep calling him Theodore for some odd reason. Whatever. Lionheart would say this. Watson, can you please contact Salem for me? As he would say this. Sure, he would say. As a Seergrim would basically appear, as Salem would say this. What is it, Lionheart, she would say. As he would say this. Well, it seems that I got some great information from a dusty old crow, he would say. As all of them would just be wide-eyed, as one of them would say this. So you're telling me that the, Crow Broadwin is there? Said, Watson, as he would say this. Yes, including the certain, a certain, three-eyed demon, he would say. As Salem would be, pretty much surprised, but also quite happy, as she would say this. Really, she would say, as she would have an uncharacteristic, what is that called again? A surprisingly, a surprising smile on her face, as he would say this. Yes, but not only this, we got some information about the Spring Maiden, he would say. As Watson would be wide-eyed, including Salem, as she would say this. Really then, what is it exactly, she would say, as he would say this. Well, it seems that the Spring Maiden might have gone somewhere near, near, Mistral. And if that's true, then we can get her on our side. They believe that you took in the Spring Maiden, but it seems that you didn't get him. I mean, didn't get her, he would say, as she would say this. Yes. Now, this is certainly going to be interesting, she would say, as he would say this. Yes. Now, I should be leaving now. I don't want anybody to be suspicious about us, he would say, as Salem would say this. Thank you for the information. Now, Watson, as she would look towards him, as he would say this. What is it, my queen, he would say. As he would say this, I want to try and capture Izuku Midoriya, and also capture the Spring Maiden. If you find her, grab her, and take her away. And as for Izuku, make sure to not damage him. I wouldn't want him to be ruined, she would say. As after saying so, Watson would say this. Sure, my queen, he would say. As after saying so, the Seergrim would just disappear. As Lionheart would say this. So, what is exactly your plan with Izuku Midoriya, he would say. I mean, he's powerful, but still, he would say. As he would say this. I'm honestly not sure. And I'm quite terrified after thinking of it a little bit more, he would say. As he would say this. Really? What is it as he would say this. Nope, no, I'm not talking about it. I should be leaving. As after saying that, he would start leaving. As Theodore would just be confused as he would say this. What is so wrong about capturing a kid? As he would start thinking about it. As he would say this. Well, guess I'll start praying for the kid's pelvis, he would say. As after saying that, we go back to Izuku and the rest of the boys. Or, in the rest of the, gang. So, we're currently gonna be going to Crow's perspective. Because, oh boy, this scenario is definitely gonna be fucking hilarious. Oh god, this scene. Oh god, I have so many things to basically, make this extra funny to me. So either way, as we continue on, we currently see Crow basically in a bar, drinking a lot, and I mean a lot of alcohol, as he would say this. This feels shitty, he would say. As after getting a lot of his, fill, he would notice somebody in the background. As after looking at him, he would be wide-eyed as he would see Oscar, or the female equivalent to Oscar, which I keep finding a name, but, I couldn't find any, so I'm just gonna be searching it right now, so wait for a second, guys. So yeah, I'm just gonna call her Olivia. Why the frick not? So either way, as Olivia would just be there eating, some stuff. Specifically pasta for some odd reason, or at least, actually no, instead of pasta, just imagine, something that's, served like Japanese, like noodles. As while she was eating, Oz, she would say this. Where is he, she would say. As after, saying that, she would start talking to herself, or at least, sort of. She was basically being quiet about it. But the Crow, he would hear clearly as he would smile. As we would go back to Izuku and the rest of the group. As we currently see Izuku doing his own thing. As we currently see him trying out, some of his new abilities with his Red Sharingan. As he would start, using it to use, well, one of the most, powerful-ass jutsus imaginable, aka Yin-Yang Release, otherwise known as, creation of all things, which basically means he's able to create anything. And I mean anything, like, for example, you want a Sharingan? Poof! There we go! Then we have, like, for example, you want a Tentacle? Boom! There we go! Then if there's, like, I don't know, like, what is that called? Or the Kensurigon? Poof! There you go! A freaking, by the way, a little tangent here. The Tensurigon, right? When I first saw that, specific, like, dojutsu from the, the Boruto anime, I was just like, what the fuck is this dojutsu? So, basically, it allows it, the user to basically, use special illusions that are basically stronger and even more powerful than the freaking Sharingan. But it also has another use. it also has the ability to control anything that's basically has rich in iron. Like, for example, blood. Yes, blood. Which is so fucking ass. Like, it's super cool in my opinion. And it's also going to be a little, like, foreshadowing to say the least. Yeah. Either way, continuing on with the episode. As we currently see Izuku trying to create something, as he's currently making weapons, mostly knives, which were not made out of, like, chakra, as in, well, like, for example, his, like, chakra blades, axes, spears, things of that sort, as he would start creating little, like, knives, to, little, like, guns, to even swords, which, caused everybody to just look wide-eyed, as one of them would say this, specifically, well, one of them specifically, our lovely little boy over there, aka Rin, as, Ren, I meant, as Ren would say this. Hey, Izuku, what are you doing? He would say, as he would say this. Oh, I'm trying out the new jutsu, he would say, as he would say this. Oh, I'm guessing it's, as he would say this. Yep, it's called creation of all things, he would say. Or at least that's what I'm giving it, he would say. As he would say this. Interesting. So, judging by the name, it's probably able to, as he would say this. Yep, it basically allows me to, to basically, create anything, just as long as I have, aura, he would say. As one would say this, specifically, well, Nora, as she would say this. So, can you make pancakes, she would say, as he would say this. Yes, but I would rather not to. Trust me, if you do so, I would probably be used as nothing more than a freaking pancake dispenser, he would say, as she would say this. Fine, she would say, as one would say this. Specifically, a somewhat interested, well, what is her name? Yeah, Pyra, as she would say this. Hey, Izuku, she would say, as she would say this. Oh, what is it, Pyra, she would say, he would say, as she would say this. Well, if you're able to do so, then can you make me a new eye, she would say, as he would say this. Sure, maybe I can, he would say, as after saying so, before he can actually make an eye, the doors would basically break open, as everybody would just be wide-eyed, as you would hear a drunk-ass crow, as he would say this. Hey, guys, look what I found, he would say. The way that I fucking said it! Oh my god, wait for a second. As Izuku and the others would see a girl with long, brownish hair and somewhat, greenish eyes. She would have somewhat tan skin and seems to be wearing, some, well, what do you actually call it again? Basically some suspender, straps and also, a simple, like, I guess you say, like, whatever you want to call that type of shirt. She would also have it, rolled up to her, elbows, as she would also wear, greenish gloves. Not greenish gloves, I meant orange and green gloves. As she was also wearing, thigh-high boots, and also wearing, wait for a second, god dang it. As she was also wearing a somewhat, like, whitish bow. That's basically, tied up her hair. As she would see this. Hello, she would say, as everybody would just awkwardly stare at her, including Izuku. And by the way, Izuku was still wearing his mask still, as she would be surprised as she would say this. Wait, are you, she would say, as she would say this. Oh, let me guess, you already know me, he would say, as she would say this. Yeah, I mean, you're the three-eyed demon, right, she would say, as he would say this. Please don't call me that, and just call me Izuku, he would say. As she would say this. Oh, hello, Izuku. As before she could say anything else, as he would say that, specifically Crow. And by the way, this is Professor Osborne, he would say. Why did I say it like that? Oh, God. Anyway, continuing on. As everybody heard that, everybody would just stare at him. As they just stared back at, Oscar, or, Olivia. As everybody would just stare back at him. Then Olivia. Then back at him. And then Olivia. As Izuku would say this. Did you drink too much, old man? He would say. As he would say this. No, I'm totally sober. He would say. As he would slam onto the desk. He would slam his face on the coffee table, basically being knocked out. As Izuku would just look at her, aka, Olivia, as you would say this. Are you sure you're Ospen? He would say, as she would say this. She would just be a little bit surprised, but also quite awkward right now. As everybody would just, look at him. As, or at least look at her. As, one of them would say this. Specifically, Izuku. Alright, sit down. I guess I'll be making, hot chocolate, he would say. As after doing so, we would basically time skip, as we currently see Izuku and the rest of the group basically sitting down, as they're currently looking at Olivia, as he would say this. So, what's your name? He would say. As she would start blushing a little bit after seeing Izuku's face after he took off his mask. As she would say this. Call me Olivia, she would say, as Izuku would say this. Okay, Olivia. By the way, is it true that you're Osmond? Because, Osmond is not, this, he would say. As she would say this. Yeah, I probably guess you're not really, not really taking this seriously, so she would just sigh. As she would say this. Then, allow me to show you then. As she would basically, go like this. As she would basically, lean her body a little bit forward as green light would start to envelop her, as everybody would be surprised. But the most surprised was, was our lovely little girl over there, aka Pyra. As she would say, wait, no way, she would say, as after getting enveloped in light, they would hear another voice. Someone that sounds a little bit more masculine, as they would hear this. It's been a while, my children, he would say. As after hearing that, they would start looking towards her, as they would hear Osmond's voice, as Izuku would say this. Wait, Osmond, how, he would say, as he would say this. I guess it's time for me to tell you my little story then, he would say. Let's just say it's a bit complicated. And as for you, Pyra, I think it's time for me to tell you the truth as well, he would say. As he would grab the cup of, hot coffee, or not coffee, I meant, hot chocolate, as he would take a sip, as he would say this. As Osmond would say this. You see, I'm what you call as a cursed one. One who was cursed by the gods, he would say. The reason why I was cursed by the gods is because I didn't defeat Salem, he would say. As Izuku would say this. Well, that's a bit unfair, he would say. As he would say this. Yes, very unfair. But still. As he would take another sip, as he would say this. Every time I get reincarnated, every time when I die, I would be reincarnated in a new host. And this host would start fusing with my old and past memories. And with that, the cycle would continue. Sorry about that. Anyway, continuing on. As he would take another sip, as he would say this. I'm also... well, he would say. As he would start looking towards Izuku, as he would say this. As after looking at Izuku, as he would say this. Well, every time I get reincarnated, my body, my soul would start fusing with the other past selves of me. And with that, I will retain every single memory of them. He would say, as Izuku would say this. Well, that is a big-ass surprise, he would say, as Pyra would say this. Yeah, that's quite the surprise, she would say, as he would say this. Yes, but I think it's better for me to tell you something a little bit more pressing, he would say, as everybody would listen in, as he would say this. As Ospen, or, Olivia, sort of, as, I guess you could say, Ospen for now, as Ospen would say this. But, before we can actually tell you anything else, I want to say this. Do not trust Lionheart, he would say. As everybody was a bit surprised, except for Crow. As Izuku would say this. Wait, really? But he was kind of nice, he would say. As he would say this. Trust me. It's better for you not to trust him. I feel something bad is gonna happen when you least expect, he would say. As Izuku would say this. I see, he would say. As he would say this. Well, I do have a proposition for all of you. As everybody would listen in. Once again, as he would say this. I will offer you to basically train you with Olivia over here. And as for Crow, we're going to be training as well. Or at least sort of. He will be bringing in some huntsmen to basically help us with our cause. To basically stop her, he would say. As Izuku would say this. Alright, can you please stop being vague and who the hell is her, he would say. As he would say this. I think it's better for you to not know yet. After all, it is something dangerous. Something malicious. Something that you cannot even comprehend, he would say. As he would say this. Comprehend my ass, he would say. As one of them would say this, specifically Nora. Ooh, I would gladly do that. As Izuku would just look at her once again, as the others would also look at her as well. As Osman would just laugh a little bit while, Crow would just start drinking, would start laughing drunkily, as he would start, coughing at bits of, of alcohol, as Izuku would just look at her, as he would say this. I'm starting to think that you're either a pervert or that much of an idiot, he would say, as she would say this. Let's go for the first part, she would say, as she would say this. So you're admitting you're a pervert, he would say, as she would say this. Pretty much, she would say, as Izuku would say this. Whatever, he would say, as after doing so, wait for a second. So, as we currently see Izuku doing his own thing once again, as after, that little conversation, Izuku would start thinking to himself, well, this Olivia kid is certainly interesting, but still, I mean, I did get reincarnated, but still, he would say, I'm starting to think that the gods are either stupid or just idiotic, he would say. As after saying that, we would currently see me basically going like, yeah, I do agree. Start remembering, a certain, thunder god that's also pretty much the biggest rapist imaginable. But either way, continue on, as we currently see Izuku basically doing his own thing, as we would also see Pyra approaching him, as he would say this. Oh, hey Pyra, what is it exactly, he would say, as she would say this. Izuku, she would say, how about that new eye you said? As he would say this. Oh, right, I almost forgot, he would say. Just come with me, okay? As after doing so, Izuku would start moving to his room, as Pyra would join with him. As Izuku would say this. Wait for a second, god dang. As she would say this. So how do I do this? As Izuku would say this. Just stand up. I mean, it might be painful, but you get to endure it, he would say. As she would say this. Right, she would say. As after doing so, Izuku would start using his, hand. Or at least one of his hands. As he would start doing, some, just one, one-handed hand signs on his other hand, as you'd say this. Now, yin-yang release. As after doing so, something would start swirling around, Pyra's, used to be, area where her eye used to be, as he would say this. Creation of all things, he would say. As after saying that, she would open her used to be eye. As after opening it, her eye would be revealed, as she would see it. Her eye, or at least her new eye, seems to be a different color. Instead of her, new eye being green, just like hers, instead, it was almost a blood red color. With, bits of or at least one of the parts of the eye is basically fading into a bit of a greenish color similar to her old eye. As she would see this. Whoa, I can see better. Or at least in this new eye, she would say. As she would start scanning the room, as she would start feeling her new eye seem to be much better, and almost faster. As Izuku would say this. I'm guessing it's sort of a side effect. But either way, we should probably get ready for tomorrow. After all, we're going to be training. As she would say this. Oh, right, she would say. As after saying so, Izuku would say goodnight to, Pyra. As she would say this. Goodnight, she would say. As after doing so, she would start leaving. And as for Izuku, he would start preparing to get some sleep. As Izuku would take off his clothes, changing into his, normal sleeping wear, and so he would instantly fall asleep. But unbeknownst to him, somebody would start going into his room. Or at least two people. As these two people seemed to be, walking into his bedroom, as one of them would say this. Why do we need to share, Izuku, she would say. As she would say this. Well, it's better than fighting, she would say, said one of the figures, as she would say this. Fine, she would say. As after doing so, they would start getting into the bed, and so both the, two silhouetted girls would instantly fall to sleep on Izuku's bed as well. And, yeah, Izuku's completely, falling asleep, so yeah, I hope you liked the video, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye! And finally, I'm back.